The only perpetual energy that exists is of reality itself. Now, when I say that reality has perpetual energy, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's running at a bajillion kilowatts at any given time. It doesn't mean that it's high energy, necessarily. It just means that it doesn't run out. Reality is always in the on position. Its switch is always on. And it has an absolutely inexhaustible source to pull from. And that source is itself. It doesn't make any sense by any sort of sense of mechanics, which is how we think of energy, because we've harnessed energy in ways to serve our own needs. But there's no man-constructed creation that has perpetual energy. I mean, obviously. I remember as a kid being really discouraged when my dad had this battery in his car. I don't know exactly what it's called. The thing, it's a reserve of energy that you use to jump a car if you don't have another car there to help you do it. And I remember asking, so as long as you have that on hand, you're never at risk of your car dying because you'll always just recharge it. And the answer was obviously no. It only has so many charges that it can do before you need to even get a new one of those energy supplies. Well, darn. Yeah, the only perpetual energy is reality itself. It's not just going to turn off at any time. This feels so obvious in some ways, but how often do I really sit down and appreciate the fact that the machine is running? It's running without a single break anywhere in its frame. This has been helpful sometimes in my adulthood where, like a lot of adults, I've struggled with fatigue. I've struggled with burnout. With just feeling like my energy, my personal human energy, is pretty low. But sometimes there is value in being in that state of low energy because you get more in touch with the quiet, I can almost just call it a soft hum of reality's energy. A lot of what we think of as being energized and sometimes associate that with being happy, of being of good emotional well-being, is actually just excitement. And I've talked all about excitement a few videos before this one. Excitement is great. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's the chasing of this excitement, and in this case, what we'd say, this chasing of high energy, that I think actually depletes our energy and makes us not okay with the general emotional and energetic level that we find ourselves at in any given moment when we're idolizing the high octane energy of something stimulating us, something exciting us, something making us overly happy. We just keep pulling for higher and higher levels of energy. Because even when you get up to that high level of energy, it just becomes commonplace and you want more and more and more and more and more. And ironically, the energy that's fulfilling and never ceases for you is lower. It's the absolute baseline that reality already offers us. and just aligning with that energy that's already there for me. Not the energy of my mind or my body, or the energy given to me by a good cup of coffee, which I can still enjoy. Just connecting to that baseline energy. That's what ends up being really fulfilling. And we can almost synonymously say that awareness has perpetual energy. Even if I'm just talking about my own one single human experience, when I'm extremely excited and bouncing off the walls about something cool that's going to happen soon, that awareness is there at the same level. When I'm down in the dumps about something terrible that's just happened, that awareness is there. If I'm very sleep deprived, didn't sleep enough last night and had to do a full day of work, and I'm grumpy and just generally feeling down with overwhelm, that awareness is still there. This, of course, doesn't address the concept of when we go to sleep, which is something that I haven't quite figured out yet. There's still gaps in my own personal discoveries, but it's just funny that this particular discovery is such an obvious one. It's oftentimes such the most obvious ones that take you a long time to figure out and are very eye-opening when you do discover them. Awareness is always running. I was about to say in the background, but it's not even in the background. Awareness is always permeating every single aspect of experience. It's all just awareness. I've worked a lot on getting myself to appreciate that quiet, soft hum, as I called it, over those extremely heightened senses of the ego being satisfied, of the small self being pleased because its image is reassured. Even still to this day, I have to keep recalibrating what it is that I'm looking for, because of what I know gives actual long-term satisfaction. If I'm reaching for those highs all the time, sometimes I'll be happy, sometimes I'll be miserable. My satisfaction is fluctuating and fleeting. But if we can really learn to deeply fall in love with the soft, low-level energy that awareness is always providing, then satisfaction is always available. Even in the midst of whatever emotions arise otherwise. It's like I can be happy with a big capital H, even when at a relative level I'm not happy. And that big picture happiness, it ends up permeating whatever the emotions, whatever the smaller emotions are. Completely transmutes it all. Yeah, I'm running on awareness's perpetual battery. I'm running on reality's perpetual battery. That isn't even separate from me because I'm one with both of those things. And so there's only one little tiny question that we have left to answer is, what about when you die? Well, quite simply, to answer that, I would